My name is Trevor Grant. I'm 28 now, but everything that ruined me started 3 years ago. Back then, I was reckless. One rainy night, I was driving back from a house party with my best friend, Eli Parker, in the passenger seat. He told me not to drive. We were both drunk, but I insisted. It was storming hard, visibility was trash, and the road we took cut through thick forest with no lights. Eli kept saying, "Slow down, man," but I just laughed it off. Then it happened. A sharp curve, a deer, my reaction too slow. We hit a tree hard. The windshield shattered. Metal bent like paper. I woke up to the smell of gasoline and blood. My head was bleeding, but I was alive. I looked over at Eli. He wasn't moving. His chest was crushed. His eyes were open. I didn't call for help. I ran, panicked, soaked, and terrified. I left him in that wreck. I lied to the cops, told them I'd taken a cab home, that Eli left the party alone. They believed me. No cameras on that road, no proof. Eli's family mourned him. His mum even hugged me at the funeral. I should have confessed. But now, I think something knows. About 6 months after the crash, strange things began. It started with my phone ringing at 3:18 a.m. every night. Never a number, never a voice, just static and heavy breathing. I thought it was a prank until the texts came. I was awake when you left. It was cold. I waited. Why didn't you pull me out? I changed numbers, got a new phone. Still, the messages found me. Then came the dreams. Every night I was back in the car. Windshield shattered, rain pouring, Eli pinned to the seat. But this time he turned to look at me, mouth full of blood, eyes burning, and whispered, "You left me to die, Trevor." One morning, I woke up and my bathroom mirror was fogged, even though I hadn't used hot water. In the mist, someone had written, "I'm still there. I left town, got a new apartment across the city." But the first night there, I found muddy footprints inside, leading from the front door to the couch. The landlord swore no one had a key. The next evening, I saw my license, the one I thought I lost, nailed to my front door, with the word "coward" scratched into the plastic. I called the police. They checked, but found no signs of forced entry. They chalked it up to stress. One night, desperate to escape the guilt and fear, I drove back to the crash site. The trees were scorched around the wreck, like lightning had struck the same place a dozen times. The tree we hit still had pieces of the car embedded in it. But worse than that, I found something new. A grave, a shallow, handmade grave, with a cross made of bones, and next to it, in the dirt, "I died alone. You shouldn't be alive." I tried everything, moved across the state, stopped drinking, attended therapy, told myself it was just guilt, just nightmares. But nothing helped. Things got darker. I began seeing him, not in dreams, in reflections, in windows, standing at the end of my hallway at night, wet, mangled, broken, but standing. He never speaks. He just stares, eyes sunken, lips twisted, as if screaming silently. I woke up once to find my car door wide open, the inside soaked as if it had been submerged in water. On the back seat, a soaked, torn hoodie, Eli's hoodie, the one he wore, the night he died. My hands started trembling constantly. I lost my job. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. Every mirror in my apartment cracked on the same night, exactly 3:18 a.m. That's when I stopped trying to run. I went to the cemetery to beg forgiveness. But when I got there, Eli's grave was dug open, not disturbed, empty. I collapsed on the ground, sobbing. I screamed into the night, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to leave you." A voice answered, not in the air, but from under the soil. "But you did." The ground beneath me turned soft. My legs sank an inch before I yanked myself free. Something grabbed my ankle. Cold, soft fingers. I ran home, shaking, and locked every door. That night, lightning split the sky. My power went out. I lit candles. Then I heard it. Water dripping. I followed the sound to the bathroom. And there, standing in the tub, soaked and broken, was Eli. His head twisted, his chest caved in, but he moved. He looked at me with those empty sockets and smiled. "Now it's your turn," he whispered, "to see what drowning feels like." The tub filled with water instantly. Black, muddy water. The walls screamed. My apartment flooded in seconds. And then, silence. I woke up outside, gasping on the sidewalk, barefoot and soaked. No one saw anything. No one believes me. But he's with me now. In reflections, in puddles, in my shadow. He's not angry anymore. He's patient. And he's going to make sure I die the way he did. Slowly, cold, alone, and forgotten. My name is Jared Whitman, and when I was 24, I rented the attic room in a big old Victorian house in a quiet neighborhood in Portland. It was cheap, too cheap, but I needed the place fast. The landlord, an elderly woman named Mrs. Klein, said the house had long memories. I didn't ask what she meant. The room above me was rented by a girl named Mara, about my age, pale, quiet, with long black hair and this strange stillness about her. She didn't talk much, just nodded whenever we crossed paths. I once offered to help her carry groceries up the stairs, and she looked at me like I was the first person to speak to her in years. She said, "No one usually notices me. I should have noticed her more." One evening she knocked on my door, eyes wide, hands trembling, and whispered, "Can you help me with something? Just for 10 minutes. It was a cold night and she looked terrified. I hesitated. I was watching something, had work early, so I lied. "Sorry, I've got a call in 5 minutes." She nodded. "Okay, never mind." That was the last time I saw her. The next morning, she was dead. Hung herself in her room. The landlord said she had no family, no visitors. They found her journal. The last entry just said, "I asked. He said no." I tried to forget Mara. I told myself what everyone always says. You can't help people who don't want to be helped. But I knew that wasn't true. She did ask. She wanted someone to be there, and I ignored her. Still, I tried to move on. But within days, things in that house changed. At first, it was small, lights flickering, the floorboards creaking upstairs, like someone was pacing at night. I assumed it was the old structure settling. But then I remembered. Her room was locked. No one lived up there. I started hearing tapping sounds late at night. Not random knocking, a rhythm, like fingers brushing, against wood, and always it came from directly above my bed. Once, I put my ear to the ceiling and held my breath. I could have sworn I heard soft crying, fragile, like someone trying not to be heard. One night, I was brushing my teeth and glanced up at the mirror. Behind me, for just a second, I saw a shadow with long hair standing in the doorway. But when I turned, nothing. I ran to my landlord the next morning. Mrs. Klein was watering her dead plants in the front yard. I told her everything, the tapping, the sounds, the crying. She didn't even blink. "You stayed in her room. They don't like when people break the pattern." "What pattern?" "They ask, we ignore." That's how she got that way. That night, I packed my things and left. I didn't say goodbye. I drove for hours with no plan, just far away from that house. But I didn't leave her behind. I rented a small one-bedroom apartment in Salem, thinking the distance would help. I even blessed the place with sage like some Reddit post suggested. It didn't work. Within a week, the tapping returned. At first, I thought I was imagining it, but then came the sounds, scratching behind the walls, like nails dragging over wood. One night, I heard soft humming, the same tune Mara used to hum when walking up the stairs. I checked the building's pipes. Nothing, no mice, no wind. I was alone, until I wasn't. I began waking up in the middle of the night, gasping for air. My throat would feel tight, like invisible hands were wrapped around it. The worst part? Sometimes I'd find long strands of black hair clutched, in my own fist when I woke up. My apartment started to feel off. Mirrors fogged up without heat. The air grew cold at random. I'd come home and find wet footprints on the floor leading from the bathroom, when I hadn't even used it. Then came the whispers. They were no longer confined to the walls. They followed me to work. In the silence of my office, I'd hear Mara's voice whisper behind me. "Why didn't you come?" I started seeing things, reflections in the microwave, in my phone screen. I'd blink and they'd be gone. But it wasn't my imagination. I knew her voice. And now it was growing louder. Months passed. I changed cities again, tried therapy. Nothing helped. I told myself it was trauma, survivor's guilt, my mind playing tricks. But the line between guilt and haunting blurred fast. One evening, I returned to my third apartment in 6 months. The door was unlocked. I always locked it, double-checking each time now. Inside, everything looked untouched, except for one thing. On the kitchen counter was a photograph. It was a grainy, black and white picture of me standing in the hallway of the house in Portland, the night Mara knocked. In the photo, you could see her standing behind me, reaching out. But she never touched me. The back of the photo had one sentence. I was still alive. After that, she became part of my life. I stopped sleeping. Mirrors no longer reflected me properly. Sometimes they'd smile before I did. Sometimes they didn't smile at all. She followed me to grocery stores, to gas stations. Once I saw her standing across the street, completely still, even as cars passed through her. I tried everything, priests, shamans, rituals, but there's no exorcism for guilt. I understand now. She doesn't want revenge in the way movies show it. She doesn't want blood. She wants to be remembered. She wants me to suffer the same way she did, alone, unheard, invisible. Each night, I lie in bed and hear her dragging herself closer, her breath in my ear, her fingers on my spine. I tried to apologize. I screamed it into the night. I begged. All I ever get back is her voice. You were my last chance. Last week, I woke, up hanging, but alive, just above the floor, belt tied around a closet rod. No explanation, no bruises the next day, just a note taped to the door. Now you know what it feels like. I'm not sure how long I have left. She's not going to kill me. She's going to make me wish I had.